I knew it was a joke the moment my friends started grinning. Not the harmless kind of joke that ends with everyone laughing together. The cruel kind. The kind that leaves one person smiling on the outside while quietly breaking inside. It happened during my best friend's engagement party at a beautiful lakeside resort in northern Michigan. More than 100 guests filled the ballroom with laughter, music, and expensive clothes. Every table was assigned in advance, and as I searched for my name, my friends kept exchanging glances like children hiding a prank. "Table 7, one of them said with a smirk. "You're going to love your seat." I should have known better. When I reached the table, I saw the empty chair waiting for me. Next to it sat a woman in a soft blue dress. She was beautiful. Not because she looked like a magazine model. Not because she fit society's impossible standards. She was beautiful because her smile was gentle, her eyes carried warmth, and there was a quiet kindness about her that made the noisy room feel calmer. She was also plus size. Very plus size. Across the room, my friends burst into laughter the second they realized I'd noticed. One of them actually gave me a thumbs up. Another mouthed the words, "Perfect match." They thought they were hilarious. To them, I was the single guy who never dated much. To them, placing me beside the biggest woman in the room was entertainment. They expected me to be embarrassed. They expected me to spend the evening looking miserable. Instead, I pulled out the chair beside her. "Hi," I said. "I'm Ethan." She looked surprised before offering a warm smile. "I'm Claire. You look like someone who could use an ally." She laughed. "So obvious?" I noticed everyone looking. She sighed. "I'm used to it." 4 words. I'm used to it. Those words hit me harder than I expected. Nobody should ever have to get used to being treated like a punchline. Dinner hadn't even started, yet she'd already apologized twice after accidentally brushing someone's chair while sitting down. Not because she'd done anything wrong. Because she'd learned life was easier if she apologized before people complained. As the evening continued, I noticed something else. Claire made everyone else's night better. She complimented the bride's mother. She helped an elderly guest carry her plate. She entertained 2 restless children with silly stories while their exhausted parents finally got a chance to eat. She remembered people's names after hearing them once. She laughed easily. She listened carefully. And somehow, almost nobody noticed. They only saw her size. I started asking questions. She worked as an elementary school librarian. She spent weekends reading to children at the local hospital. Every Thanksgiving she cooked meals for families staying in Ronald McDonald houses. She knew every dog's name at the animal shelter where she volunteered. She couldn't pass a homeless person without stopping. She donated blood every time she could. She even carried extra socks in her car because she'd once heard that homeless shelters desperately needed them. Meanwhile, my friends, who had mocked her before even speaking to her, spent most of dinner bragging about promotions, expensive watches, and investment portfolios. I couldn't stop comparing them. Claire talked about people. They talked about themselves. Halfway through dinner, one of my friends walked over with the same stupid grin he'd worn earlier. "So," he whispered loud enough for Claire to hear. "You two hitting it off?" The others laughed. I looked at him. What exactly is funny? His smile disappeared. "You know." "No," I interrupted. "I don't." He looked uncomfortable. "I was just kidding." "About what?" Nobody answered. The entire table went silent. Finally I said something I'd wanted to say for years. "You guys spend so much time judging appearances that you've stopped noticing character." Then I turned back toward Claire. "I'm sorry." She smiled sadly. "You don't have to apologize for them." "I know. But someone should." For the rest of the night, we ignored everyone else. We walked outside after dinner. The summer air smelled like pine trees and fresh water. She admitted she'd almost declined the invitation because weddings were always difficult. There are always whispers, she said. People assume nobody could possibly love someone who looks like me. I stopped walking. I don't believe that. She looked away. I stopped believing it myself for a while. Those words stayed with me. Nobody had broken her heart more than strangers who made her believe she wasn't worth loving. Over the next several weeks, we kept talking. One dinner became another. Coffee turned into long walks. Long walks turned into weekend road trips. I learned that she cried during animal rescue videos. She learned I secretly loved old bookstores. She sang terribly in the car. I couldn't hold a tune either. She beat me at board games almost every time. She always left bigger tips than I did. She called her grandmother every Sunday without fail. She celebrated tiny victories like they'd won the lottery. Life felt lighter around her. Then came the day I introduced her to my parents. I was nervous. Not because of Claire. Because I feared they might judge her before knowing her. Instead, something incredible happened. Within 20 minutes, my mother was laughing harder than I'd heard in years. Claire helped my dad repair a broken bird feeder. She stayed after dinner to wash dishes even though Mom insisted she didn't have to. On the drive home, my mother called. "I've never seen you smile like that." I smiled even wider. "I know. Don't let her go." Months passed. One afternoon we visited the children's hospital where Claire volunteered. The kids screamed her name the second she walked through the doors. Miss Claire. Tiny arms wrapped around her. One little girl handed her a drawing. Another proudly showed off a missing tooth. A little boy fighting leukemia refused to start story time until Claire held his hand. Watching her surrounded by those children changed something inside me forever. People spend years searching for beautiful souls. I had somehow found one sitting beside me because someone else thought she was a joke. Life has a strange sense of humor. Then came another wedding. This time one of the same friends invited us. As soon as we arrived, I noticed familiar expressions. The whispers. The sideways glances. The judgment. Except this time. I didn't care. Claire looked stunning in an emerald green dress. She carried herself with confidence she'd slowly rebuilt over the past year. During dinner, one woman asked her an incredibly rude question. "So, have you always been, big?" The table froze. Claire smiled politely. "Yes." Awkward silence. Then she added with perfect grace. "And you've always been comfortable asking strangers personal questions?" A few people laughed. Even the woman couldn't help smiling. Conversation moved on. I looked at Claire. She squeezed my hand beneath the table. No anger. No bitterness. Just confidence. Later that evening, my old friend, the one who had started the original joke, approached me outside. "I owe you both an apology." I waited. I judged her before I knew her. "You did." "I was wrong." "You were." He looked toward the dance floor where Claire was helping a little flower girl learn dance moves. I've never seen someone make every room brighter. Neither had I. He sighed. "I thought looks were everything." "So did I admitted. Until I met her. The truth was painful. Before Claire, I probably wouldn't have spoken to her either. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe not cruelly. But I would have made assumptions. I would have missed the chance to know the most extraordinary woman I'd ever met. That realization humbled me. Love didn't just change how I saw Claire. It changed how I saw everyone. Months later, I proposed during a quiet autumn picnic beside the same lake where we'd first walked together after that engagement party. No photographers. No audience. No elaborate setup. Just colorful leaves falling around us. I handed her a small box. She opened it. Then immediately started crying. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. I gently wiped away her tears. "That's the saddest thing you've ever said." She looked confused. "You deserve every good thing life has to offer." "You really think so?" "I know so." She laughed through tears. "Then my answer is yes." People walking nearby applauded. An elderly couple hugged us. A little girl shouted, "She's getting married." Claire laughed until she cried again. On our wedding day, something happened that I'll never forget. As guests entered the reception hall, they found handwritten cards waiting at every seat. Claire had spent weeks writing a personal note to every single guest. Not generic thank you cards. Real messages. She thanked teachers for inspiring children. She thanked veterans for their service. She thanked neighbors for acts of kindness they probably thought she'd forgotten. She thanked family members for simply showing up. By the time dinner started, dozens of people were crying. Not because of decorations. Not because of speeches. Because one woman had made every person in the room feel seen. Near the end of the night, my old friends gathered around us. The same guys who once laughed. One of them quietly admitted, "We thought we were making fun of you." I smiled. "I know." He looked at Claire. "Turns out, we were making fools of ourselves." Claire hugged him. Because that's who she was. She never collected revenge. Only people. Years have passed since then. We now have a little daughter who inherited Claire's smile and somehow my messy hair. Every night before bed, Claire reads stories to her exactly the way she once read stories to hospital children. Sometimes I watch from the doorway. Our daughter doesn't know beauty standards. She doesn't know cruel jokes. She only knows that her mom is the safest place in the world. One evening she asked me, "Daddy, why do you always look at mommy like she's magic?" I smiled. Because children deserve honest answers. "Sweetheart," I said, "sometimes people only see what's on the outside." She nodded. "But your mommy taught me that the most beautiful people are the ones whose hearts make everyone else feel loved." Our daughter climbed into Claire's lap and wrapped her tiny arms around her. "I think mommy has the biggest heart ever." She was right. The biggest heart. The brightest soul. The greatest blessing of my life. And every now and then, I remember that night when my friends sat the plus-size woman beside me because they thought it would be funny. They believed they were giving me the worst seat in the room. Without realizing it. They had given me the best seat of my entire life.